paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Don't tell him nothing.
So this is all say now I'm going to let it go. A water hose is turning around.
What's the ordinance number? What's the ordinance number? What is the ordinance number? What is the ordinance number? You said the ordinance. What's the number?
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He has allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
You can't enforce the ordinance you don't know. You can't enforce the ordinance you don't even know. What's the ordinance number?
About anything, I'm not fearing
what's the law you're trying to enforce?
I've seen the glory.
What law are you enforcing? What law are you enforcing?
How do you uphold the law? You don't even know it. And American soldiers are fought back into the United States.
What law? What's the ordinance number? You haven't told us yet. So y'all enforcing an ordinance y'all don't even know?
We will talk in terms of things we've done. Soon as I can hear the God of history saying, that was not enough. But I was hungry, and you fed me not.
Stay strong. Stay strong. You got you. You don't know.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper.
It's three of y'all. One woman on a PA system. Gotta be different.
Even Russia and totalitarian.
One woman on a PA system.
Maybe I could understand.
There's people out there running speed right now. There's people out there speeding right now.
I could understand. Basic First Amendment privilege.
I bet you if somebody else support, they can have a PA If don't somebody else support it, y'all would let them have a PA Thank you.
This will be brief. We should walk into the meeting room now at 6:30. Let's claim our seats and head in. Okay?
And we get to put the amp up. Now America's safe again.
Free speech college! 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 Free speech college!
Hi, I'm Helen Chang. I'm a candidate for Collin College Board of Trustees and a community college economics professor. In fact, I started my teaching career here at Collin in 2010. It was a wonderful place to work. Faculty and staff were clearly proud to be part of this school. 11 years later, the change is dramatic and disheartening. Under your leadership, Collin's national reputation has been tarnished. Employees and students are frightened and demoralized. Women and women of color are feeling targeted. The school's financial stability is being put at risk by needless litigation. Terminations and intimidation are driving away the excellent teachers responsible for so much of the student experience. It's clear that Collin College is in need of change for the good of the community, the students, and the employees. I urge you to right this ship. An institution of higher learning must be respectful of different viewpoints and allow dissent, discussion, and free speech. Shutting down voices that disagree with yours while disregarding public health experts teaches students the wrong lessons about civics, governance, and the importance of education. Thank you.
I'm a senior at Plano West High School and currently enrolled in classes at Collin College. I heard about the story about the contract terminations of Professor Heaslip, Dr. Suzanne Jones, and Dr. Burnett. Although I did not know Dr. Jones personally, I knew a few students that attended Collin who had her as a professor that appreciated her passion for education. From all that I have gathered about Professor Heaslip, Dr. Burnett, and Dr. Jones, I knew that they were excellent educators who shared their concerns with the administration about reopening the school, however, were retaliated against. They had every right as an educator to be concerned about COVID-19. I myself, a senior in high school, opted to take my classes online because I understood the dangers of the pandemic. I hope that our trustees will do the right thing and inquire into the processes that led to these professors being fired. I ask that you take action to ensure that Collin College's policies are able to protect the lives of students and faculty, as well as honor their right to freedom of speech, even when that entails criticism of the college's policies. That was a speech that I wrote before. I went to college and I saw what was happening, and it is embarrassing when we were broken up by the police. I think that this is a violation of freedom of speech, and I think that these teachers need to be hired again, and just how we did on the pledge, justice for all. Thank you.
For over 35 years now, Collin College has been an institution of the higher education community in the Dallas area. It is known as a place where local students who may have little or no options for progressing their education otherwise can receive a quality education from passionate educators at an affordable price. Students who walk into Collin College as scared freshmen later walk across the stage at many of the finest universities both in and around Texas with further degrees. I know this is true because I was one of them. Unfortunately, the carefully nurtured reputation that this college has worked so hard to uphold is in danger of being torn to shreds, and it is all due to the brazen acts of censorship enacted by this administration. We are in the midst of the greatest public health crisis in all of American history, and most of us are worried about how to protect ourselves and those around us. For an educator, especially one who values their students as not only faces in a classroom, but people with vibrant lives well beyond, that includes protecting their students. My first semester at Collin College was the same semester as the mass shooting at Virginia Tech that killed 32 students and faculty. I remember my professors talking to us in the aftermath. Many of us, myself included, were quite shaken, and our professors provided reassurances that they would protect us in any way they knew how. Thankfully, they never had to put any of their words to action, but knowing that my professors had my back in a life or death situation meant more to me than anything. As the pandemic has raged on, Professors Heaslip and Jones spoke out in a way meant to protect those students and reassure them, just as my own professors did almost 14 years ago. They called for common sense to reign in the executive offices of this college in regards to COVID, and they paid for that call by being told that they would no longer have their jobs. Professor Burnett leveraged the power of social media to call attention to the injustice so perpetrated by the firings. She called for transparency from the college executives and for investigations into things that didn't quite add up. She's been on your radar for a while thanks to a couple of personal political statements that garnered the attention of certain right-wing publications. And when she became too much of a problem for you, you cut her loose too. Is this how you deal with your problems, by pretending they don't exist? All three of these women are exemplary educators by all accounts. They want nothing more than for their students to be successful. They value the First Amendment, which, as any intro-level government class that offered at any of your campuses would teach you, protects the freedom of speech. What these women did was utilize their First Amendment given right to speak out for the safety of their students, themselves, and fellow faculty members in the greater Collin College community. All we're asking is one simple thing: do the right thing. Reinstate the professors and show that the Constitution has a home at Collin College. They deserve it, and so do your students. And if you're not acting in the best interests of your students and faculty, then you have to ask yourselves, whose interests are you following and why? Thank you.
Go ahead and move ahead with Sarah back. No, she's there too. Kim Parker Nyman. Kim Parker Nyman.
Professor of Communication at Collin College and a Collin College resident, taxpayer, and voter. First, I want to thank you, the Board of Trustees, for the time and effort you give to our community. But second, I want you to be aware about how shockingly non-compliant the recent decisions regarding the contracts of Professor Audra Heaslip and Dr. Suzanne Jones are in terms of college policy. I've been privileged to teach at Collin College for 15 years, including a combined 6 years supervising faculty, either as a department chair or an interim associate dean. I've dealt with faculty disciplinary issues. When an employee is not meeting expectations, supervisors use the procedures provided by human resources to guide the employees toward improvement. These include coaching and counseling forums, continuous improvement plans, various levels of disciplinary actions, and all of these require signed documents to be submitted, multiple meetings, even a description of how the supervisor can assist the employee in making the needed improvements. Professor Heaslip and Jones were told that not being collaborative with the college's reopening plans was the primary reason that their contracts were not being extended. But in terms of this accusation, none of these procedures were followed prior to their non-renewals. None of them. The vast majority of faculty here are exemplary. I've known a few that needed some extra help, and I've known a few who were quite interesting. However, it was always stressed to me that no matter how interesting a situation might be, it was necessary to go through human resources procedures with both full-time and adjunct faculty, not just because retaining experienced faculty is cost-effective, but also because of legal requirements and fairness. I can assure you that faculty who have committed far worse infractions than not being collaborative were given multiple opportunities to retain their jobs, as both I and current administrators can testify. A contract extension is meant to be a way to reward faculty members, not a means by which administration can dispose of those who speak out on matters of public safety. The non-renewals of Professors Heaslip and Jones not only circumvented the authority of their supervisors who had approved the extensions, but were not compliant with the clearly delineated policies and procedures of Collin College.
Got 15 seconds.
I therefore urge you to consider the lack of due process in this matter.
I apologize, I was in one of the many overflow rooms. It took me a while to get over here. Out of breath. All right. Board of Trustees, hello again. My name is Tatiana Oni, and I am a student here at Collin College. I also serve as the District 4 President for the Texas State Teachers Association for Aspiring Educators. I may look familiar because I came here February 5th, along with many others, to speak before you on behalf of Professors Dr. Jones and Professor Heaslip that the Collin College administration is firing. I'm here again today for the same reason. You've heard a lot of Dr. Jones and Professor Heaslip supporters today, I'm sure, but I would like to offer my perspective as one of your Collin College education students. I'd first like to say that I used to talk about Collin College with pride. It was the school that I recommended to so many other family members and friends, and unfortunately, like so many others, the view of Collin College has been tainted. While I'm grateful to have received my associates in the arts of teaching from this college last semester, I can say with 100% certainty that I did not learn the things that matter most about being a good teacher from this school. The things I know that I'm going to take with me in the future classroom are the things I have learned from my organization, the organization that Dr. Jones helped to start here. She is the best example of what it takes to be a great teacher. From her, I have learned that excellent educators should be dedicated, passionate, have integrity, and most importantly, stand up for their students in situations where their safety is compromised. The administration, on the other hand, has been encouraging the opposite message to their students. This situation is teaching me and my fellow aspiring educators that we should be afraid of retaliation, and we should stay quiet in circumstances when our students need us to stand up the most. As a future teacher, this message terrifies me. There's a clear injustice here, a violation of these professors' right to free speech. Luckily, you have the power to do something about it. Personally, I'm doing everything I can to fight for my professor, someone who, need I remind you, would not hesitate to stand up for her fellow colleagues and students if this situation fell upon us. So I again urge the board to do the right thing and demand the administration reinstate Dr. Jones and Professor Heaslip by renewing their contracts. Until then, I will do everything in my power to support these wonderful educators. I appreciate this time I've been given to speak with you and hope you will do what is right, not only for these professors, but for your students. Thank you.
Board of Trustees. My name is Sarah DeBoo and I'm a student here at Collin College. I'm studying to become a public school teacher, and I have to say that I'm deeply concerned about the recent actions of Collin College administration to fire not only one of my education professors, Dr. Suzanne Jones, but also two other professors that have been instrumental to learning here. I'm a member of the Texas State Teachers Association Aspiring Educators program here at Collin College. This organization has been such an asset to all the future educators pursuing an education degree. But being a member, we receive professional development beyond what we learn in our college classrooms so that we can be the most prepared teachers as we start our career. Dr. Jones is an advisor for this organization and has done an outstanding job bringing in speakers to help us grow as professionals. Just this past weekend at the annual convention, Dr. Jones was named the Advisor of the Year for the entire state of Texas with our Texas State Teachers Association Aspiring Educators Program. Do you realize what an honor that is not only for her, but for Collin College? Is that the type of professor you think you should be fired? It is a shame that someone who has given of her time above and beyond the call of duty and is the target of some administrators simply on the basis of her being involved in a professional organization. Instead of recognizing and appreciating Dr. Jones for her outstanding achievements in securing grants, professional development opportunities for her students, and winning numerous awards, the Collin College administration is trying to fire her. As a Collin College student, I am appalled and disappointed in the administration trying to take away an amazing professor who is my mentor, and for many others of her students. I strongly urge the boards to demand the administration reinstate Dr. Jones and her colleagues immediately. If you do not, you will lose professors and students because we do not trust you. Our right to speech, free speech, do not stop when we walk on this campus. Free speech is the right for every American and shouldn't be hindered by some of the administration that don't like what is said. As a future teacher, my student will be taught that everyone has their own viewpoints and can be voiced those viewpoints because that is just one of the freedoms of living in the great United States. I sure hope I don't have to use Collin College as an example of how freedom of speech is hindered in the negative way. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight and hope you do what you've been elected to do, and that is holding the administration responsible for their decisions. You are the ones that approve contracts, and you should do 15 seconds. I should not approve any contract unless they include all 3 professors that have already been fired and any others that the administration chooses to fire between now and then. Thank you.
I'm a county resident.
Just a minute, please. Thank you.
Is that better? I'm a county resident and a proud College alumni. However, I will be reading a letter written by a Collin faculty member who is not here due to fear of retaliation. Collin faculty have lost any voice we once had in shared governance. Our free speech has been turned into a weapon. Our workplace is damaging our health. First, we were offered no say in how the college reopened during a pandemic. Instead, we learned about the reopening through social media. Now, 2 faculty members who made it possible for us to express our apprehension have been terminated. Second, our college president has neutered the faculty council. The elected body that is supposed to be the voice of the faculty spends their time fighting over whether to even bring faculty concerns forward. Unfortunately, this body has been co-opted by and for administration. Third, the Council on Excellence is on its way to joining the Faculty Council as part of President Matkin's shared government charade. Not only did the administration blow past the COE in the termination of our colleagues, but they have called on an outside consulting firm to reassess and so-called streamline COE's peer review process. When this administration says streamline, we should here take control over. The attack on our rights and dignity began long ago, but it's not too late for you to act. Stop being silent. If you continue to stay silent during this pivotal time, your suffering will increase and fear will win. So speak up, Collin. Join your colleagues in solidarity. You will find support from people who are as outraged, scared, and ready for change as you are, and will find strength in numbers. And for the administrators, I know there's many of you in this room. You are good people. Many of you for a long time who you've known as friends. I want you to know that Matkin's authoritarian leadership style is not a secret. We know that he screams at you in meetings, he berates you for transgressions, and shames you publicly into compliance. We know Matkin likes to threaten Tim's reports with being fired, and that he values personal loyalty to him above your own moral compass. Administrators, there might be another chance to dig yourself out of this and the retaliation that has become in Collin. Your subservience and refusal to support your faculty only drives the wedge more deeply between us. No one does their best work when they are constantly afraid, and the students are the ones that are going to suffer. Administrators, former and current, we call on you to help us end this culture of fear. You can send anonymous letters to editors. You can speak to the press off record. You can reach out to the fire.org and submit a case. Please fight for the quality of our beloved college and the quality of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here as the president of the Dallas College chapter of the AAUP. I'm also a parent of a dual credit student here at Collin. The Dallas College chapter of the American Association of University Professors, the DC AAUP, is a member chapter of the National AAUP, an organization that for over 100 years has set the national professional standards for faculty with respect to academic freedom, tenure, and shared governance. Albert Einstein was a member of the AAUP for over 20 years until his death. Like its parent organizations, the National AAUP and the state-level Texas Conference AAUP, the DC AAUP is very concerned by Collin College's president's decision to end the employment of the highly respected long-term professors Audra, Heaslip, and Suzanne Jones for simply exercising their professional rights to academic freedom and shared governance. Professional rights that have been jointly endorsed by the AAUP, the Association of American Colleges and Universities, the American College on Education, your own Association of Governing Boards, as well as over 250 other organizations. Additionally, the DC AAUP is concerned that the non-renewal of these professors may have been in part due to them exercising their personal constitutional rights as United States citizens to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. The DC AAUP stands with the national and state AAUP in urging in the strongest terms possible that the Collin College administration, and if necessary, the Collin College Board of Trustees, rescind the non-renewal notices given to Professors Suzanne Jones and Audra Heaslip. Texas Education Code 617.004, the Right to Work Clause, states, an individual may not be denied public employment because of the individual's membership or non-membership in a labor organization. Professors Jones and Heaslip were told that part of the decision to non-renew them was due to their membership activities with the Texas Faculty Association, a labor union. Faculty at public colleges do not relinquish their First Amendment rights, and a government employer cannot terminate or penalize an employee for speaking as a private citizen. Collin College's own board policies require it to, quote, uphold vigorously the principles of academic freedom and to protect the faculty from censorship, as well as to uphold the rights of faculty and other employees under the U.S. and Texas state constitutions. Collin's board policy DGBA legal applies the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitutions to its faculty and other employees when it states, quote, a college district shall take no action abridging the freedom of speech or the right of the people to petition the board to a redress of grievance. Similar statement is in GB legal for the Texas Constitution. Board policy DGBA legal emphasizes the right of Collin College employees to freedom of assembly, which is what Professors Jones and Heaslip were exercising with their membership activities with the Texas Faculty Association. 15 seconds. I'm going to have another person that will come after me. We'll pick up the rest of this letter from the DC AAUP. Thank you.
Right to work. Betsy Freoff. We also get Marina Rodriguez out of the other room.
Good evening. I am Betsy Freoff. I live in Plano. I am an education advocate and a voter. I'm here to read a statement from a Collin faculty member who is not here tonight for fear of retaliation, for fear of their job if they speak in the public sphere on a matter of public concern. Here's the statement. I am a professor at Collin College who has become deeply concerned about the state of our institution. Recently, I learned that Dr. Jones and Audra Heaslip are not having their contracts renewed. The reasons given that they were not being collaborative or respectful are hollow and vague, leading me to think that the real motivation for these dismissals was their bringing to light the college's reckless and misinformed response to the pandemic. We are a community college, which means the welfare of the community should be our highest goal. I do not understand why two professors who acted for the good of the college and the larger community should be so unjustly treated. This is the faculty member's statement that I'm continuing to read. They gave many of us a voice when we felt scared and powerless. They acted responsibly, reasonably, and compassionately. They understood that we are better when we communicate freely and openly about how to move forward in a time of anxiety and fear. Given my confusion about the response of the college, I must conclude that the upper administration does not care about the health and well-being of faculty, staff, students, administrators, their families, and the larger community. Or rather, that the upper administration cares about other things more. What these are, I can only guess at, but history has told me that the usual suspects are status, power, and wealth. So my question is this: which does this community value more? The safety and welfare of all of us, or the security and wealth of a few? COVID-19 has taken much from us. We should not let it take away two committed college professors who have benefited their students and the college by reminding us of what we value. And I would like to add, I've heard it said in this meeting and a previous one many times, that the board doesn't address personnel matters. But you can address, and it is your responsibility to address this culture of fear of retaliation, which is exactly the opposite of what education is supposed to be about, which is the free and frank expression and exchange of ideas.
Good evening. My name is Audra, and I am Collin College faculty and president of the Collin chapter of Texas Faculty Association. However, I'm here to continue reading the statement by our Dallas College colleague from the AAUP. Professor Heaslip and Professor Jones have been full-time faculty at Collin College for many years. The AAUP maintains full-time faculty who has served at a college for more than the maximum number of years of their probationary term, have permanent or continuous tenure, and their service should be terminated for only adequate cost, except in the case of retirement for age or under extraordinary circumstances. The DC AAUP's position and that of the state and national AAUP is that Professor Jones and Professor Heaslip have de facto tenure and therefore cannot be dismissed, which is what their non-renewal is, without adequate cost substantially and directly related to their teaching and research and under consideration of the record as a whole. Higher education's future is at a crossroads. As is becoming increasingly apparent, this case over the non-renewal of Professors Jones and Heaslip is fast becoming a national test case for the future of higher education in the United States. If their non-renewals are left to stand, a message will be sent to the entire country that professors of public colleges and universities, and in general, public employees of all types, are not considered to be citizens of the United States with the same First Amendment protections under the U.S. Constitution and as all other citizens. Repeatedly, our organization is hearing a rumor that the Collin College Board of Trustees believes it is not allowed to intervene in personnel matters. Let us put that rumor to rest right now. Collin College's own board policy, BBF Local, under number 15 in its Code of Ethics section, states that a board member will refrain from any attempt to influence any operational decision of the college district, including but not limited to individual admissions, personnel, management, or purchasing decisions, except when such an issue is being presented for consideration at a legally posted board meeting. BBE Local also states that the board has final authority to determine and interpret the policies that govern the college district. and within the limits imposed by other legal authorities, has complete and full control of the college district. And that an individual board member acting in his or her official capacity shall have the right to seek information pertaining to college district fiscal affairs, business transactions, governance, and personnel matters. Thus, as long as it is a legally posted board meeting, the board can get involved in personnel decisions. And in cases such as this, where the college president and his administration is allegedly not following board policy and multiple state and federal laws, the board must intervene. Collin College's accrediting agency, SACSCOP, in section 4.1 of its principles of accreditation, states that the governing board is the legal body with specific authority over the institution and exercises fiduciary oversight of the institution. Increasingly, it is apparent that at Collin College and increasingly at institutions of higher education around the country, administrations are working to recommend changes to board policies that effectively decrease the power of the governing board have to maintain ultimate control over their institutions.
Time's up.
Lots of Klein or Lisa. Can I get Michael Phillips, now the other one to get ready.
Trustees, my name is Elisa Klein. I'm a county resident, a candidate for Plano City Council Place 8. I'm also a former student of Collin College, and a mom of a potential student. Thank you for giving me and my fellow constituents time to express our concerns over disturbing information that has come to light as we research the last few years of Collin College. My memories of Collin College provide a stellar education while also being an economical solution have been shaken with recent events. One big question on our mind is why there has been so much turnover in administration and operations. There have been 3 CFOs within the last 5 years. In one case, a CFO and an executive VP were abruptly marched off college property on the same day. It is disturbing that many other administrators have left the college so suddenly and so quietly. It is widely suspected among employees that these former administrators lost their ability to come forward with important information because they signed non-disclosure agreements or NDAs. One issue, which is a particular concern to me as a candidate for public office, is the practice of dipping into the public coffers to obscure what should be public knowledge. Recent public information requests show that in the last 4 months, the college has spent up to $14,000. Let me repeat that, $14,000, just to withhold the identity of one elected official with whom President Matkin was texting regarding personnel matters. How much taxpayer money has been used to pay for NDAs, severance agreements, and or legal fees to cover up the activities of the leadership? Are you, the Board of Trustees, in complete understanding and in agreement in all of these cases? What could the leadership possibly need to keep secret that is worth so much of the taxpayer money? As this falls within your fiduciary duties, we citizens demand that you, the Board of Trustees, investigate this high turnover and its associated financial costs, and regularly share your findings publicly in upcoming meetings. Taxpayers are interested. Thank you for your time. Woo!
I'm Michael Phillips, I teach here. When I was earning my PhD at the University of Texas, every day I walked to Garrison Hall, which is the home of the history department. Garrison Hall is in the shadow of the famous UT Tower, which is inscribed with a line from the Gospel of John: "The truth shall set you free." Sadly, at Collin College, speaking the truth can get you fired. This college administration wants to fire one of our most talented professors because she confronted one of the hardest truths about this nation and its history, that our past and present are deeply stained with racism. In 2017, I wrote an open letter published by the Dallas Morning News calling for Confederate monuments be taken down in that city. It was co-signed by 100 scholars, clergy, and thought leaders across DFW. Dr. Jones signed that letter. The two of us decided something. We did not want future generations of African American parents, including our students, to have to explain to their children why men who stole their bodies, who raped them, and auctioned off their loved ones should be honored as heroes. We do not want future generations of white men and women to be poisoned with the racist propaganda that made Dylan Roof, who slaughtered a South Carolina black congregation, a monster. Any cowardly bigot can mouth platitudes about racism being bad. It takes someone of exceptional courage and character like Dr. Jones to do the hard work of dismantling racism. Yet for her efforts, Dr. Jones was recently told that her signature on the open letter was the reason she was getting fired. One reason. The excuse was the fact since the letter, 2 Confederate statues in Dallas came down, a park was renamed, 4 schools were renamed, countrywide or nationwide, 168 monuments were taken down across the U.S. In 2020, we have even NASCAR banning Confederate symbols. Now, this college administration chose to not exercise moral leadership of this issue, but can we at least keep up with NASCAR? Dr. Jones is a hero. Instead of being fired, she should be honored for her civil rights work. Reinstate her. Don't make this college infamous for fighting for a lost cause of racist icons. Dr. Jones was right, the administration was wrong. Admitting this truth will set us free.
My name is Jerry Sullivan. I am both a professor of anthropology at the college and a voting resident of Collin County. Last summer, for reasons personal and professional, I began tracking COVID-19 numbers for both Texas and Collin County. I posted daily on Facebook explaining what was going on. I also developed a descriptive statistics assignment for my courses using the numbers for Sundays between June 28th and July 19th. I was among the 129 faculty, including those trained in the pertinent physical and human sciences, who urged prudence in the college's approach to COVID. I also volunteered to serve on the college's COVID task force. It was with interest and some knowledge that I read Mr. Matkin's 4 emails sent between June 29 and August 18 concerning COVID at the college. On August 18, Mr. Matkin wrote that he was confident that we will continue to allow facts to guide us while insisting on providing the very best service we are able to provide to those students who have entrusted us to do so. Would that that were so. In the previous paragraph of the same message, Mr. Matkin sought to put the death rate from the coronavirus in perspective, contending that the chance of dying in a motor vehicle accident in the state of Texas is 1 in 103, or slightly over 1%, his mistake. That's over 100 times more than likely dying from the coronavirus, he said. On that same day, the Texas State Department of Health Services revised the death total for Texas to 10,250, somewhat shy of the 10,988 deaths on Texas roads from January 1, 2017 to December 31, 2019, according to the Texas Department of Transportation. Texas would surpass the 3-year total on August 21. As of yesterday, Texas has surpassed the total of auto fatalities for the 12-year period between January 1st, 2009 and December 31st, 2020, with 42,995 COVID deaths and 41,618 traffic deaths. While we will not have a number for a single year's COVID deaths until March 24th, the anniversary of the Health Services COVID website it is apparent that Mr. Matkin was off by at least 3 orders of magnitude. He made no reference to prolonged illness, problems with lungs, circulation, and nervous systems following from viral infection. Such an error cannot be considered to be allowing facts to guide the college or due diligence. I expect better from my students.
Woo!
Dr. Suzanne Jones, Dr. Laura Burnett, and Audra Heaslip, distinguished professors who do not deserve to lose their jobs for doing what this board chose not to do, for crafting a well-informed and elaborative response to the COVID pandemic, for speaking truth to power. In solidarity with these women, I also stand here for the countless women faculty and staff at this college who can't stand here to say these things, for the women who risk losing everything for the simple act of appearing before you, for existing as women with opinions without power. But at the end of the day, while the faculty at this college may work for the administration here, they're not doing the work for you. The motto at Collin, as noted by Dr. Matkin himself when he first started here, is students first. So the professors here show up every day and do the work for them. And when an ice storm or COVID or any other unexpected change happens, the professors at this institution stay up late or on weekends and work for them. So I'm not only standing here in support of these excellent professors, but for the students at this college who are better because of their work and the love they have for it. Which begs the question, who are you working for? Thank you.
I appreciate y'all letting me speak. My name is Leslie Cunningham. I live here in McKinney, and I have a granddaughter who is a student at McKinney Boyd High School. I have to say that in the situation we have now, I would be kind of reluctant to recommend that she attend Collin College. You know, given the atmosphere of authoritarianism that you seem to have here and the disrespect for the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I am also a member of the Texas State Employees Union. We have members all over the state at both state agencies and state universities. Our university caucus has been paying attention to what's going on here, and they're highly concerned about the implications for all higher education of the actions that you here at Collin College are taking. And our university folks have asked me to read a statement on their behalf. So we, the members of the Texas State Employees Union's University Caucus, stand in solidarity with Professors Audra Heaslip and Suzanne Jones. TSEU is a 10,000 member union which fights for the health and well-being of all state employees and those we serve. Professors Heaslip and Jones were fired for doing just that, advocating for their co-workers and students in the Collin College system. Professors Heaslip and Jones's dismissal is a dangerous affront to free speech and freedom of assembly. Organizing to improve one's conditions on the job and membership in a union or professional organization are all protected under Texas law. And I think some other speakers have noted the specific laws that apply here. Especially during this pandemic, public colleges and universities should be working proactively with professors, staff, and students, and particularly their unions and professional organizations, to develop operating procedures that balance the college's core mission, public health, and economic sustainability. We, along with the Texas Faculty Association and countless members of the Collin College community, ask that Professors Heaslip and Jones be immediately reinstated in their positions.
Woo!
But I have a few points of concern the board should hear.
Would you move the mic up, please? Thank you.
Last summer, an important resolution was passed by the Faculty Council. The resolution called simply for two things: greater safety measures and to be part of the conversation. Many commented on being afraid to sign, fearing retaliation, but did so anyway. We can infer that others likely declined for that reason. We recently learned that the board never received that resolution. We never saw the signatures and heartfelt comments from 129 verified faculty members. That's about a quarter of full-time faculty during a 2-week period in the summer when most people were not reporting into work. Yet, in an email from July 15th of last year, President Matkin wrote to all employees the following: yesterday, 20 faculty were polled at the new technical campus. To a person, all desired face-to-face courses to start up in the fall. He continued, I find it ironic that some of the chief proponents of closing our campuses and going fully online failed to speak to the faculty they were charged to represent. Not only did the faculty resolution not demand 100% online classes, it explicitly stated that while 100% online was clearly not feasible, the majority of classes could be safely and effectively moved online. President Matkin's misrepresentation of arguments and neglecting to share documents with the board suggests bad faith and intent to deceive, rather than to trust the board to make decisions based on the facts. Why didn't President Matkin pass the Faculty Council resolution onto the board as they were told was going to happen? Why did the document painstakingly prepared through all of the official and appropriate channels, signed by 129 concerned faculty members, simply vanish before the board could see it? Why did the poll of 20 faculty members, less than 4% of the full-time faculty, outweigh the concerns of 6 times that many faculty? These are questions you should be asking. Next, it seems that there is no virtual participation option for trustees.
You have 15 seconds.
Sorry?
You have 15 seconds.
There's no virtual participation option for trustees who are ill and who do not feel safe to be here in person during the pandemic. The whole world has figured out how to conduct virtual meetings. This board should provide for it.
Time's up.
And I'm a longtime McKinney resident. I'm also a faculty member at a nearby college who spent the last 20 years working closely with your students with a lot of pleasure and a great deal of pride. Your students transfer to our programs and they thrive, and with all respect to the board, that's your faculty at work, not you. People like Dr. Jones, Heaslip, and Burnett, and faculty like our own former students, when they finish PhDs on my campus, some of them end up here, and we're thrilled. We have always been thrilled, and now we're terrified that they are too. At this time, in this current situation, I will keep my university's name for myself because I can't trust this administration not to retaliate against them too. Collin County matters to all of us, even to the future of this very region and to my campus, deeply, personally, and economically. And I do want to remind Collin County homeowners a few years ago that we voted to pass a multi-million-dollar bond that would nearly double the number of Collin campuses. Take a look at your property taxes and see how much we allocate for that. We have done so, and we've been happy with that until now. And I want to make it clear, this is fundamentally and exclusively a catastrophic failure in leadership. This is not a personnel issue. 3 faculty members fired in as many weeks for taking seriously the risks of a global pandemic, for transparency, for a chance to be heard, for caring. Collin County is at a crisis point. Again, this is not a personnel form. It is a fundamental and catastrophic failure of leadership. I'm asking you, as we all are, reverse this catastrophic damage to morale, increasingly your reputation, reinstate these professors, stand down. I am horrified and infuriated, in fact, utterly baffled by all of this. I spent the last several months in stunned disbelief as Collin County leaders to burn down this beloved institution to the ground. I keep wondering, what is your end game here and when will it end? So just days ago, before you fired Dr. Burnett at Newsgrove, Collin County spent $14,000 to bury a text exchange between the college president and Representative Leach. While Texas was suffering, at the very same time Texas was suffering fallout from a catastrophic failure of leadership at the state level, Representative Leach threatened her job on Twitter. Can't make this up, did it with the president of this university. That's press coverage that college leaders draw. And is that what you want? It's certainly not what I want. But by contrast, your faculty continue to draw the kind of coverage we all want for us and our institutions of higher learning. And in this case, it's not Collin College's accomplishment it could have been, but you fired this model teacher who last weekend, weeks after receiving her wallpaper, took 5 Collin County students to the Texas State Teachers Association, where she ended up, all of them ended up at top elected position. This is not a personnel issue. This is fundamentally a leadership issue. Fix this, reinstate these professors, stop the bleeding, reverse the damage, and enough is enough. This is not about you. This is certainly not about Dr. Matkin. And well, it is. Okay. It's about our students. Thank you.
There should be some fun.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris Vasquez. I'm a former Collin College student who graduated in spring in 2020. After I finished my time at Collin College, I transferred to the University of Texas at Austin to study government. The reason why I came back and made a trip from Austin back to Collin County this week had to do with the unjust firings that this administration carried out. I personally knew Dr. Jones prior to the firing because she was the student advisor for my Students Demand Action chapter when I was a student here at Collin College. I can assure you that when she shared her concerns about COVID, it was in the best interest of the students and the staff here today and at the college. I strongly believe that Professor Heaslip, Dr. Jones, and Dr. Burnett deserve to have their jobs back. They clearly had their First Amendment right violated by this institution that claims to be a center of higher education. Furthermore, I will also note that all 3 professors who were fired were all women. Collin College by law, that's right, no, you can clap. Collin College by law is prohibited from discriminating based on sex, which appears to have also been violated here. Dr. Matkin, would you like to tell everyone in this room why you fired Dr. Burnett? And specifically, after you had a conversation with Representative Jeff Leach.
Tell us.
Exactly. For everyone in this room who hasn't heard, Dr. Matkin spoke with his good old boy Jeff before he fired Dr. Burnett. I will actually read the transcript for everyone here so they'll know what he said. Woo! Dr. Burnett is paid with taxpayer dollars, correct? Leach said. And then Dr. Matkin says, I'm aware of the situation, Jeff, and he will deal and we'll deal with it. Already on my radar before the current issue. She's definitely paid with tax dollars, he continued. Okay, cool. I'm getting calls from folks, not a ton, but a few, as it started to percolate on social media, Leach said. And then Dr. Matkin replied, my inbox and the board is getting the same. Matkin replied, appreciate you. Good luck in November, friend. For everyone who sits on the college board, may I ask why haven't you fired Dr. Matkins? How much PR and HR damage does Dr. Matkins have to be responsible for before we have to say yes to go? Is this college board satisfied with being ranked in the top 10 nationally for the suppression of free speech? As a Collin College alumni, I'm not surprised, only ever disappointed. I believe that this college board has an obligation to the public to reinstate the professors who were fired unjustly, the 3 females who were fired based on sex. It's simply the right thing to do. In my opinion, Dr. Matkins is the only person in this room who should be fired. Woo!
Yay, Mom! She won't be going here.
The first part is from me. I hope Matt can pay attention and give the respect to speakers that he's not giving to anybody, and pay attention. You're an educated group of people following a man who is misogynistic and felt he was too high up to be questioned by strong, educated women who are indeed right. Your spewing of conspiracy theories is beyond disturbing, and I wonder about your mental state. Board members, you all just sit idly by while Matkin removes amazing professors is extremely disappointing, shameful, and inexcusable. You stand up for your professors against a dictator. You don't cower. Matkin, what is it about freedom of speech that you don't get? You just don't like it when it doesn't follow your Trumpian agenda and women stepping up to hurt your ego. If anything, Heaslip, Jones, and Burnett should have your job. Matkin, you need to go. And you're raising rates to attend this school when you're throwing out exemplary professors and taking them away from students? Absolutely not. This is from a professor that is too scared to speak because of Matkin. Dear Collin College Trustees, I am writing as an extremely sad and frustrated faculty member at Collin College. The events of the past year at the college have been very disheartening. As faculty, we have collectively risen to the occasion to serve our students under extremely difficult circumstances, developing new courses, adapting to new modalities, and treating our students with compassion and respect as they suffer, along with the rest of us, the devastating effects of the pandemic, financial challenges, and an uncertain future. As such, it would have been nice to feel that the college administration and the board of trustees had our back, and we're committed to our health and well-being and to treating us as faculty with the same compassion and respect with which we approach our students. Unfortunately, this could not be further from the truth. President Matkin has treated faculty with a dismissiveness and disregard that has been truly shocking. From declaring the pandemic to being overblown at a time when a real leader could have taken steps to protect our community and reduce the risk to the county that we serve, to ignoring the science-based faculty council document signed by 130 faculty members, to burying the COVID-related death of our colleague Iris Mita 22 paragraphs into his Happy Thanksgiving message. So gross. President Matkin has shown the faculty exactly how little he values us other than as warm bodies in ever-growing number of buildings he rules over. So it should not come as a surprise to me when I heard that he had instigated the non-renewal of the contracts of the professors. Because of the president's choice to portray the faculty to the board in the manner that best suits his agenda, you may not have seen the document that so many of us signed last summer.
Ms. Brooks, time's up.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
Trustee Audra out of the next room. She's here.
Mr. Chairman,
All day?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to defer my comments to the end of the meeting if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trustee Audra.
Many times I've addressed this board. Over the years that I've lived here in Collin County, I'm a taxpayer of this county. Thereby, I support the education, the public education that is paid for by taxpayers and by property owners in this county. And I stand before you today, not by myself, but with those that have come before us. Those freedom fighters that have fought for truth and justice, that have fought for sacred rights. These sacred rights include a freedom of speech, the freedom to assemble, and as these professors have done, the freedom to organize in their place of work. The freedom and the right to safety. These are inalienable rights that I have to yell them is frustrating. In the 21st century. And finally, the issue of academic freedom. The freedom to say what you believe without fear. I lived in Germany. I know what the Gestapo used to do. What this board is doing, shutting down the freedom to assemble and organize, is no different. This conservative ideology that is being represented by this board is frustrating. I moved to Texas, and I've been told multiple times, honey attracts more bees than vinegar. I don't come to you tonight with honey. I come to you out of anger. A 45-minute drive to come up here. You are embarrassing us. Not just in this nation, but in this county. This is embarrassing. That these professors have been fired in our home, right here where we live, where my tax dollars go. I was looking at the board of this college, bankers, business people.
You have 15 seconds.
Profiteers. Where is this institution represented by educational professionals? Woo! I leave you today demanding that you reinstate these women's jobs, and I demand that if you are not a professional educator, step down and resign from this board. All of you.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I just wanted to come and say that, for myself, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jacoby Stewart. I run for place now to the Board of Trustees, Collin College. And I just want to say, growing up in a single parent home, the youngest of 6 kids, the only dream my mom had was to have a kid to graduate from college. She worked 2 jobs. So I know strong women. I've seen it all my life. And it wasn't until I got older, where I went to a community college, where I earned a trade, where I was able to believe in myself, take care of my family, that I went to Texas Women's University to get a degree in government and politics. And gentlemen, ladies, what Dr. Hoyt at Texas Women's University taught me in government, the actions of this board, the actions of the school, shows a declining form of government, a declining form of governance. There has to be somewhere where the board can take in faculty concerns without them being afraid. I hear afraid, scared. Sounds like these teachers are getting PTSD working here. And it should not be that. I would not have my master's degree if it wasn't for teachers like Dr. Jones, Dr. Burnett, and Heaslip, because they took their time to help me change my social imagination where I can believe that I can get the American dream. See, some people say you gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but right now I'm gonna tell you, I pull myself up by the bootstraps because I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be a statistic. Education is the key. And you all know that education is the key. And if you control the education, you're controlling what the teachers say, you're controlling freedom of speech, you're controlling the minds of the students. And as a parent who has a child, I'm not happy. I'm not happy as a parent or a taxpayer. So that's why I'm running. Because we're gonna make some changes.
Sir, just want to confirm I'm the last one speaking.
Sir?
You called Paul Day. I just want to confirm I'm the last one speaking.
That's the last card I have.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you very much. Honorable board members, thank you. Oh. Is that better? Can you hear me? Thank you. Honorable board members, thank you for taking the time tonight to hear these concerns and complaints. I was here last time to express some of my own concerns, and I appreciate the community coming out. I mean, I can't up some of the passion that a lot of people have here. I want to speak to you and reason with the board directly, Bill. This is not a right-wing, left-wing kind of thing. I know there's a lot of people on the left side over here, but I know I'm in very conservative Rockwall County where I live, and there are a lot of people with conservative views that are concerned about what's happening here with respect not just to First Amendment, but to the right of inquiry. Academic freedom is a special right afforded to not just faculty, but professors and professionals in many different fields that go above and beyond just their standard First Amendment rights. It's the right of dissent. It's the right to be able to be involved in the decision-making part of this institution. So academic freedom is something that is part of what makes a professor not just a mere teacher, but a professor. Because that academic freedom transfers not only to their research and into their working on the chalkboard, but it's also in their shared governance, where they can stand firm and hold a position that might be something unpopular, that might be something that might be a dissent, but it still needs to be in the public consciousness. And as officers of the college, which they are, the Supreme Court has ruled that they are decision makers of this college. It's embedded into your SACS accreditation, Section 6. Faculty members read Section 6 of your accreditation. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, to the board, as well as to the CEO to give forward that information without fear. And you can hear it, and I know it because I know many friends that live in Rockwall County and many colleagues in education that tell me their friends are scared. It should never be scary for anybody to come and teach a class or to express an opinion on a panel. If I come in here and say something, and I'm a faculty member at Collin College, I'm not, but if I was, the safest place for me to express it would be right here because there's no retribution. I'm guaranteed academic freedom right here at this podium. I should be also guaranteed that academic freedom if I'm in the academic senate or if I'm standing before my colleagues expressing a concern about COVID or anything else, maybe textbook use. It should not cost me my job to speak my mind as a Thank you. I do have some other concerns. I'll bring them up because I think I'm gonna keep attending meetings and I appreciate the decorum that you guys have here.